Heavy equipment can be big and heavy and expensive. So how the heck are you going to get it moved? Whether you need to transport a crane, a drilling rig, an excavator, or whatever it may be, transporting a heavy piece of machinery can have dire consequences if not done properly. In 2018, there were 4,862 crashes that involved large vehicles. In many cases, these were the result of inadequate loading methods that caused the machinery to shift and fall off the bed. To prevent this, it's vital that you plan ahead and know how to correctly move heavy machinery. Before you attempt to haul the equipment away, you'll need to do a few things. First, create a list of the job requirements. The most important thing you'll need to do is make a quick list of the job demands. This will help you get a better idea of what the project requires and the appropriate vehicle to use for transportation. Some aspects you need to consider are: how many workers will be available, the dimensions of the construction site, and the weight of the machinery. Next, ensure there's enough PPE. Personal protective equipment is crucial when working at a site. It'll protect workers from debris that could harm them when the equipment's moved. You need to make sure there's enough to go around. Third, inspect the towing truck or trailer. You'll also want to do a thorough examination of the truck or trailer you plan to haul the equipment on. If it's not built for substantial pieces, it could collapse. Some things you need to check are the tire condition and air pressure, the brakes, the headlights, the amount of tie-down points, and their tension. Once you've done this, you can start to load the device. To safely do so, make sure to make worker roles clear. If your workers aren't organized or don't have a specific task they need to do during the loading, it could make the process a nightmare. Before you load the equipment, make sure to brief your workers and give them a task they need to focus on during the procedure. If certain employees aren't required for the job, ensure they're away from the site, because they'll only crowd things. Next, clean the ground. If there's dirt, oil, or water on the ground near the loading station, it could affect traction. It'll only make it harder to move the machinery and could cause it to slip, which would make major damage and injuries. You'll want to make sure to inspect and clear the area so the process goes smoothly. Next, go slow. One of the most important things to do during this task is take your time. While you might want to move quickly to move on to the next phase, rushing this process can be dangerous. As you move the equipment up the trailer or into a truck, do it slowly. Despite being fastened tightly, gravity can still shift as it rolls up. If you go too fast, the machinery could tilt and roll off. Now, before we continue, be sure to crush the like button and subscribe to E&C to receive more heavy equipment guides. We do appreciate your support. Once the equipment's loaded, you'll need to double check it. This inspection is required by law, but the specifications will vary in some states. For most post-load inspections, you need to make sure to check the chains, make sure they're tight and straight around the equipment. Make sure unused chains are either secure or removed. Make sure you're using the required amount of tie-downs, usually 4. Next, the tie-down load limits equal 50% of the cargo weight. Make sure the chain grade doesn't exceed the boomer limit. And definitely make sure that the chains and the hooks match. After you've done your post-load inspection, well, it's time to hit the road. However, it's important to plan your trip out ahead of time as well. Some ways you can do this is researching potential routes and determining the fastest and safest one to use. Ensuring permits aren't needed for you to cross a bridge or an overpass. Checking that the brakes work and that there's a slight cushion between the front of the machinery and the back of the cabin. This will prevent equipment from bumping into it when you slow down. You'll also want to alert fellow drivers to be aware of the large load. You can warn them by placing colorful banners and flags around the machinery to catch their attention. Depending on how far you plan to move these massive tools, you'll need to make sure to take a few breaks and check the load. On average, you should inspect it at least every 50 miles or 3 hours. You'll also need to stay in contact with others in case something goes wrong. This way, they can figure out a way to quickly help you. Once the machinery has reached its new destination, you'll need to carefully unload it. During this process, you'll want to make sure that A, there's enough space to remove the equipment and the ground is clear from debris. B, the ramps are correctly lined up with the treads. Many times, fleet companies have special tools to assist with this. C, the load hasn't shifted. If it has, adjust it before you pull the chains off. And D, that all workers understand their roles and they're ready to aid with the move. You can then start moving the machinery off the trailer bed. Remember, always take your time when doing this. After it's been removed, do one last inspection before driving it through the site. But at the end of the day, we recommend hiring a professional heavy hauler to ensure the job is done 100% right. Not sure who to start with? Check out D. Berardini Heavy Haul, based out of Orlando, Florida. You can give them a call at 321-299-5993. Stay tuned for more heavy equipment guides. Also, you can view our complete list of guides at eandcmag.com. That's eandcmag.com. Lastly, we want to thank SteelGiantMarket.com. Need to buy or sell used equipment and materials? Trust the Giant.